Good morning, everybody. I'm State Representative Dan Ugaste. I want to thank you all for being here today. I represent the 65th District in Kane County, Illinois, and a little bit of DuPage County. I'm joined today by Representative David Freese of the 115th District, and he is in the Red Bud area. There's currently critical issues facing the state, and that's the lack of accountability of our office holders. So therefore, last week, I filed two bills. House Bill 5924, as well as House Joint Resolution Constitutional Amendment 22. These bills would address this lack of accountability of our office holders to the people of the state of Illinois. It's no secret there are very public and controversial issues with which the residents are dealing with in both the city of Chicago and the suburb of Dalton. Now, you could say it's one person or another. I have my idea of who it might be that's responsible based upon the reporting I've heard and who is purportedly doing what and their level of approval, but I don't know for sure. This bill, though, the first bill, the one that would create a statute, HB 5924, would allow for removal of those local elected officials should the people of their communities believe it is appropriate. It could also have been used at a time for Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx when she held office and was not doing apparently what the people of Cook County wanted as far as prosecuting cases, or else I believe she probably would have run for office again. But these are just a few examples. Rampant corruption and bad policies are harming our cities, our citizens, and elected officials must be checked and held accountable. In the most extreme cases, it would be in the interest of the citizens and the taxpayers to have a mechanism to remove these public officials. The House bill would create a statute, as I said, and become effective immediately if it was signed in the appropriate time limit, and allow the public to initiate proceedings to recall elected officials at times of the next consolidated or general election. And it's for all local elected officials, whether it be municipal, township, a board, any local elected official would be able to be removed. But it doesn't do it easily. These are not meant to harass anyone or just be used to harm some political opponent or chase them. They require a fairly significant amount of petitions to be signed in a fairly short period of time, as well as require 60% of the voters to remove that individual from office. The recall election, as I said, would take place during the next general election or consolidated election, whichever comes first. So that way there's no additional cost to our taxpayers. Because as we all know, here in Illinois, we can afford little extra costs. We don't absolutely have to. HJRCA 22 is a constitutional amendment that would apply both to the local elected officials as well as state office holders, and with state office holders only being able to be removed during general elections. This includes statewide office holders, as well as senators and representatives. The legislation also provides for statewide removal of the Speaker of the House and the Senate President, but not in their capacity as a representative or senator, only from the office of leader or president or speaker. These officials, as we've seen, hold an extreme amount of power over the state of Illinois. And this has been evidenced by Speaker Madigan's trial and the testimony that's come out about how he was able to control the General Assembly, or at least the House, and what he was able to achieve that he wanted done. It's demonstrated through those trials that are currently ongoing, as well as some that have already concluded. The process, again, to initiate these recalls isn't easy, and it shouldn't be easy, but the citizens must have a mechanism. There's a 60% threshold to remove somebody and a high petition requirement that must be completed within 90 days of a notice of intent to file the recall petition. That would remove any political partisanship concerns, or should. Again, not meant to harass anybody. The processes outlined in these bills would be practical only in extreme cases, but here in Illinois, we have seen currently in Chicago and Dalton, and actually across the state, as mentioned in the prior trial, that we continue to deal with the extreme. And the fact that there is no mechanism for removal prior to the next time they are up for office is absolutely unacceptable. We can't allow this to continue. These bills make the process available to everyone in Illinois, and the constitutional amendment would apply to every elected official. Residents in this state have said they're fed up with the lack of accountability with their elected leaders. The frustration felt by the residents from the reporting I've seen in both Chicago and Dalton is palpable and real. Local and state governments are currently being held hostage in certain places. If office holders refuse to step down when they are acting inappropriately, or it becomes clear that the public doesn't support their policies, then the citizens should have the right to hold those elected leaders accountable and remove them in extreme cases. In just a few short days, these bills have gained a lot of Republican support here in the General Assembly, and I urge the full General Assembly to consider these pieces of legislation now. Our elected officials, both Republicans and Democrats, must be held accountable statewide, and because our taxpayers and hardworking families deserve it. I thank you again for appearing today, and I will turn it over to Representative Freese.
Thank you and good morning. I'm here to discuss the importance of these two pieces of legislation, House Bill 5924 and the Constitutional Amendment 22. Both of these measures are about one thing: ensuring that every elected official, whether at the state or local level, remain answerable to the people of this state. You know, as Dan stated, there are things going across our state that everybody, these are nonpartisan issues. Every elected official should be held accountable to the citizens of this state. Too often, our local communities feel powerless when faced with leadership that fails to meet the needs of the people. The citizen-led process ensures that communities can hold their leaders accountable without unnecessary interference or barriers. The recall provisions of all state executive branch officers, legislative leaders, members of the General Assembly, and local officials. No position, no matter how powerful, should be beyond the reach of the people's voice. As elected officials, it's a privilege to be here, and that's the way all elected officials should view their offices, regardless of what office they hold. And they must always be answerable to their citizens, their constituents. I am proud to stand here with Representative Ugaste to support these measures, and would appreciate additional support on both sides of the aisle. We need to get this legislation through. Thank you.